My faith in the gods is this: they are indifferent to my suffering.
Hello, and welcome to Legendarium Green Team's Malazan series. Welcome to episode 3 of the Bonehunters series. I'm Huron Fan, and I am joined by Befuddled Panda.
Hello.
And Ashamon.
Hi, everybody.
Yasna's a boy's gone.
Oh no.
Yeah, we got rid of him. We didn't like him anymore.
That is not true.
No, he'll be back next week.
He had other more
time.
important things.
Yeah.
Because, there are definitely more important things than this. We
Yes.
miss you. Huron Fan and Ashman are veterans, and Panda's doing it the first time. Today, we are covering Bonehunters chapters 10 through 15. Spoiler warning for all of those. And otherwise, it's just normal. Shall we start?
Yes, we shall.
Wait,
Oh,
before we start today's episode, like actually getting into the meat of it, I think we should just really quick plug the Legendarium con that's
okay.
coming up in May. So, our parent organization, I guess I'll call them that, the Legendarium podcast, which Craig and Ryan founded, is hosting a meetup in Portland, Oregon. Do not go to Portland, Maine, because we will
Don't
not
do it.
be there.
it's the wrong side of the country.
Portland, Oregon, USA, and it's on May 28th, which in the US is Memorial Day weekend. And if you want information, go to thelegendarium.com. There is a link to Legendarium Con, or join Discord if you have questions. And I will most likely be there. That is the plan.
I hope to be there, but
I-
depends.
No way I'm there.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And yes, I won't be able to make it, but if you are so inclined, you're in the area, you want to hang out,
Mhm.
come to Portland, Oregon in May, I
Organized.
guess.
Organized, by the way, by the fantastic Little Red Book, famed
Yes.
member of the Discord, and logistical genius.
She'll like that one.
I bet.
Okay, I'm done with the promo. Let's get into chapter summary.
Excellent. Yeah, after that word from our sponsor. Chapter 10. Kalam, Quickben, and Stormy meet up with Apsalar, then with the survivors of Yugatan. Ganos hitches a ride with our favorite trade guild through the hell under hell.
I actually haven't seen these summaries beforehand. The hell under hell.
The hell under hell. That is what it is, right?
Mm.
And, yeah.
Yeah, the Trigal's fun. I always enjoy their sections.
Mm-hmm.
I also enjoy their sections. I don't know if I have a lot to say about it. I actually completely forgot that this section existed. Yeah, Piran, he's doing good. You know, he's
He's so confident, even when he doesn't know like whether or not what he's doing will actually work.
He's changed a lot since book 1. And
Yeah.
I was happy to see him in this book after we haven't seen him for 3 books.
yeah.
I'm about to
He's-
reveal something about myself.
You like him.
John?
Well, I mean, I like this version of him. So, one of my I don't know how to say this.
Is this about
what-
the anime?
No. Something that I am attracted to is competence.
Oh, yeah.
You like
Yes.
competence porn.
Just a bunch of people doing things. Doesn't matter what, as long as they're good at it.
I mean, it does matter what they're doing, but competence in a person, that's
oh yeah,
pretty
it's very
attractive.
attractive. That crosses gender lines for sure. This
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
this is one reason why I like Apsalar so much. She's just very good at what she does.
That's definitely
know,
one
I
of
do
the things I
admire
like
that.
about my wife.
Yes. I aspire to be very competent, but I also recognize my own limitations. Anyway, that was a tangent.
Yeah, like Ganos is like, he's a guy that you would totally want to follow, right? He doesn't know everything, but like when situations come up, he's able to just deal with them calmly and effectively.
Mm-hmm.
And like at the end of these chapters, it's just sprung up onto me. Yeah, you're the commander of this army now, and he's like, okay.
Yes. Although we are seeing the consequences here of something that he did back in Gardens.
Free the hounds.
Yeah, the two hounds he freed from Dragnapur apparently destroyed, attacked this other trade guild carriage, and you know, I do wonder for Erickson, like when he wrote that scene in Gardens, if he knew like where he was gonna go with it. I'm assuming so because unless,
I I don't
he was
think
just
so.
like, I don't know, they just went somewhere.
Like he's great at coming up with things on the fly, although he had years to write this book. Um, but like I think he just had the hounds go somewhere, and then he would figure out as he goes. That's like a huge thing that you do when you're DMing for D&D. You
Yeah.
like nobody can predict what players get up to.
Okay, that's true.
They always mess up with your plans, no matter how good you are at planning. So a lot of the times you just throw hooks out, and then sometimes a player gets to them later.
Yeah.
And in this
Okay.
case, Ganos got to that hook. Yeah.
I do enjoy a really good circle back moment.
Hmm.
Like for jokes. If you just organically and you're like, ooh, here's an opportunity to bring that back. Yeah.
I love inside jokes. I'd love to be a part of one someday.
I mean, I think you are.
It's classic Office, right?
Oh,
Are you
I
saying
don't
our
like The
podcast
Office.
is a joke?
Yes.
That is not what I meant.
That's the only reasonable way you can interpret that sentence.
Well, okay. Interpret it however you will.
Yeah, you're also enthusiastic about Ganos trapping monsters in carts, if I can remember that correctly. Oh, that's later on.
That's
But-
later on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
I
come
didn't know
to
that was a
that.
thing in anime.
I mean, there's that one with the big hair guy, right?
Yu-Gi-Oh? That's true,
Yu-Gi-Oh!
there's Yu-Gi-Oh. Yeah.
I did enjoy that growing up, and maybe
same.
had a crush on the older version, more mature version.
The competent version.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Callback jokes. All right. I can't share a lot of things like with Paran section, but a quick teaser for our listeners. I took lots of notes, and I will be talking about it with Ash on our spoilers episode.
Spoilers episode.
You know, I can't listen to that for like another year.
Probably a lot more
It's-
than that.
Oh,
Oh,
freaking.
yeah, that's true. Probably never if you... Well,
I
actually...
think half of what
I
we
d-
talk about in those are about
Just
Carcass.
Carcass, yeah. But I don't recommend you read Carcass. I think you would hate it.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Really?
you could actually listen to it in the end of the year, maybe. It's
Oh.
Carcass is very Shakespearean, and there's
I
not
like
a lot
Shakespeare.
of action. But there's not a lot of action, and there's not a lot of the classic Malazan humor.
And it's
Okay.
really dark.
Yeah, and tonally, it's okay. It's very slow paced in a lot of places, and it's very similar to Midnight Tides.
Okay. Well,
It's like Midnight
shorter.
Tides if Midnight Tides was longer and
Yeah.
slower and had fewer characters.
Wait, it's
Yeah.
longer than Midnight Tides?
It's longer than Midnight
Much
Tides.
longer.
Yeah.
Wait, serious? Oh, frick.
But it does deal with some really cool concepts, and I would like I'll be excited to at least tell you about what those concepts are, because it does clear up some things that happen in the Book of the Fallen.
Okay, so here's the thing. I am a mood reader. So it's not that I don't like slower paced things. It depends on my mood.
Oh, that's fair.
Because I
yeah,
do enjoy slower paced things, and doesn't necessarily always have to have action. And dark tone, totally fine as long as I'm in the mood for it. So I think I'll give the first book a try, and we'll see.
That's very charitable
It's-
of you.
It's certainly very unique, and I haven't read other things like it.
Have you
It's
ever
one of-
read? Oh, go ahead.
It's just one of those things that's critically very praised. Like, yeah, like generally, I think critics are very impressed with it, and then popular audiences do not like it. There's
Oh.
a reason why he's making the joke like 67 people have read Carcass.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So, have either of you read House of Leaves?
Not yet.
No, not yet. I need to.
Okay.
I plan to.
I mean, I read the first like 23, 25 pages and I was like, okay, I'm definitely not in the mindset for it. But it's not like I hate it. It's
Hmm.
just I'm not
That's
in
what
the
happens to
right
a lot of people who read
mood.
Ulysses. They get to chapter 3 and just throw it out the window.
Is that the chapter where it's just him shaving?
No, it's the chapter where Stephen Daedalus is walking on the beach, and it's like almost this. He's the mind. He's a genius, and like just connecting his thoughts, and it's all what's it when stream
Stream
of
of consciousness?
consciousness. Yeah, it's really hard to follow, and just like a lot of words that you don't know because this dude's a genius.
Yeah. If you could hear my thoughts on a normal, like day-to-day basis, you also would be very lost because you know the
Shia
dog in
LaBeouf,
Up?
Transformers.
Squirrel.
That is not.
Vin Diesel.
No.
Cars.
Family.
Honestly, it's a lot of like, oh, I gotta remember to do X. Oh wait, I need to remember to send a message to Y. Like it's a to-do list. Um,
Hmm.
I'm
but
the
it's
same way.
like
And it just
interrupted
repeats.
midway.
And did these thoughts come in like
Sometimes
while
you subtract
you're
it,
reading?
but it's just.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
I'll be like
me too.
reading Malazan and be like, oh wait, I gotta remember to do laundry on Monday because I'm traveling. Oh wait, I need to make sure I mail the thing. Yeah. hmm
Yep.
Okay, sorry. That was a very long tangent. What are we talking
Very
about?
long.
We're talking
So
about
it-
chapter 10.
Chapter 10. Do I have
Um,
anything to say about chapter 10? Oh, Hedge.
hmm.
Because Paran says like, "Hey Hedge, seems like you know what's what. What is guiding you? And what is this long road you're on going to lead to?" And Hedge is like, not it's not a who, it's a what, and it's war potentially.
Spoilers.
I don't know. I
It's
don't know.
something really big. And yeah, it's interesting that the bridge burners have been transformed in this way from, working pretty solidly for the Malazan Empire or just themselves. And now they're
Uh-huh.
on for a greater purpose, it seems.
And I do have in my notes like who is guiding Hedge, and I'm like, okay, of the characters that I know of, and maybe it's a character I haven't even met yet. But if it's a character, have I met this character? Can you at least tell me that?
Um, I I'm not sure how to answer. I would like to. Um, I'm gonna
Is it
go
not a
with
character? Not a who?
I'm gonna go with more of a what than a who. Yeah.
Okay, so then it's not. Is not what I was thinking. I put like Edgewalker question mark, Hood question mark.
Edgewalker is an enigma.
Hood is trying to guide a lot of things. That's for sure.
Uh-huh.
Trying.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
actually.
I don't know, because we haven't seen Hood in a long time.
Yeah, one of the conversations in this chapter is like Absalar, Kalam, Quick Ben, Stormy, all talking about which of the gods is meddling with them at the moment. Which really gives you a sense of like how many puppet masters are behind the stage, just like at all times when people even aren't talking about them.
It's it's like the whole gods on top of Mount Olympus, and they're just like playing chess or something, and the chessboard is actually like real life
Yeah.
below Mount Olympus. Um, I guess a question is, what percentage of the gods gods have I met, like this far in?
Um, of the
Well,
major ones, you've actually met most of them.
that's a good way of putting it. Like, as we know, like from last section with the honey dreams, there are probably literally hundreds of gods, and we don't know most of them. But if we're just talking about the major ones that like Ash and
The
I
ones that
are,
I should care about.
the ones that you should care about, nearly all of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I can just do a quick list. Like there's Hood, there's Shadowthrone, there's Cotillion, there is Animander, who's sort of quasi there.
Queen of Dreams.
There's the Crippled God, and there's Cruel, sorry, and Male. There might be
But,
one
like-
or like a couple more. But
Kilimandros, the Errant,
oh yeah, the Errant, and we haven't seen Kilomandros really.
kinda.
But
Yeah,
yeah, like those
Cruel.
are all the major figures that are
Okay.
like super involved.
Yeah, that's basically all of them. Yeah.
Okay. But there are a lot more ascendants.
Yeah.
Or like not a lot more, but like more.
And there's like a lot of quote major gods, but a lot of them don't meddle that much. Like
Well, because
Polio. Yeah, yeah.
upon
Actually,
polio,
yeah, Polio, but
solio.
like she wasn't here at all until like this book, and she dies later on in these chapters. So that's, I think, why gods are so nervous about getting too involved. And then there are these gods like Hood and Shadow Throne that are just very, very good and confident in their skills, and they're the ones that really drive the machinations.
I can see a parody, a very rough sketch of a parody, like if these gods were in a corporate situation and what that would be like. Somebody make
Next
that,
season of
please.
Regrets Ago.
Maybe Corbelan and Bacalane and Corval Broach novella.
Oh yeah.
Okay, sorry, I sidetracked us.
I really enjoy all of the our old Bridgeburner buddies talking to each other, even with Gessler and Stormy there as well. It's just kind of, I don't know, comfortable, even though they're talking about some dark stuff.
And it's nice to hear them sharing information that is like on a kind of high level. It like lets you figure out these chapters are actually very good for letting you figure out what's actually going on at the high level in Malazan. And then there's also excellent little scenes where the soldiers are just kind of complaining. Like Hellion was contemplating for a while about how she was gonna blackmail her squad into doing what she wants.
Punish them. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, I can claw my eyes out. And then her squad looks at her and she's like, what's she doing? She's fussing over her nails.
Speaking of Hellion, I was really her section was really sad because she was talking about all her withdrawal symptoms, and she was talking about like how ants were crawling on her. And if anybody's ever gone through withdrawal for alcohol, that's exactly how they describe it. And I've known a few people. It's not easy.
Yeah. She's also talking suspiciously calmly or casually about self-harm.
But it's not just self-harm, it's using it as a weapon against others.
Yep.
So even though it is like funny, it's also
Really dark.
dark, but like it's not something that you want to encourage in people.
Nope.
Yeah, that's the contradiction of Hellion.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I have something to read that's related to this. So she says, I'm a woman, see, and with women, it's how we deal with men. You're all men. Give me trouble and I'll stick my knife in my arm or leg, or maybe I'll slice a nipple off. And you will have to live with that. For the rest of your days, you'll have to live with the fact that you are such a that Hellion went and disfigured herself. No one spoke.
Yeah, it was like, what do you say to that?
Well, later, in the same chapter, this is Gessler and Stormy and all the people. He says, Truth saved our skin, Stormy. He did what he had to do when it needed to be done. And not a word of complaint. Anyway, he gave up his life for us. I wish it could have been otherwise. He shook his head. I know it's hard when they're so young. There were tears now running down the huge man's sunburnt face, saying nothing. He walked past them all, down onto the slope towards the encamped Malazans. Gessler watched, then followed. No one spoke. The words no one spoke can have really different connotations here, and I really like how it's used in contrast.
Yeah. Truth's death is a pretty defining moment in the character arcs of Gessler and Stormy. And here we get a little bit of an insight into why.
I mean, back when we first met Truth in Dead House Gates, he had a pretty, it was a minor role. I mean, it was like, okay, this is a character that has the potential to show up again, or not. And I was looking forward to seeing how this character, like if this character would come back, and how and what would happen. And it was not disappointing. Like his I guess short character arc. But and we were having this discussion on Discord earlier this week about death, resurrection, and the impact to us as individual readers. And
thank you again.
I mean, I I guess I'm starting to accept that this is actually the real death of truth, but I'm still not quite convinced that I'm not going to see some form of him again.
Mm,
And I think it may be just like what I am now formulating as how this main series is going to end. Um, I'm not quite ready to share those thoughts yet, but it's forming.
yeah. Um, uh, we do know with Yugatan that even the ghosts were burned away.
Hmm.
So, like, the memory of truth definitely will live on, but like his soul is gone, whatever that means. It's just,
I guess it's because I didn't actually like see it on the page written
mm,
out like this is,
it's true.
truth's
He could have
death.
been yanked into a warren, like
I mean,
Lorik was or whatever.
like I'm
I
just
don't
I'm
know how.
just saying
You.
that
Yeah,
weirder things have happened. So this is what Erickson has done to me.
mm, that's fair. This
Yeah.
is, I'll bring it back to D&D again because this is what happens in D&D if you start getting to higher levels. Like people start getting the ability to resurrect, um,
Mm.
and so it's a lot less dangerous for the player characters because if the combat goes badly for them, and unless there's, I don't know, like a soul trapping mechanism, then yeah, they're like it's just like 500 gold to resurrect them, which makes the stakes feel a lot lower generally, unless you do some shenanigans.
Unless you're like, okay, you can resurrect, but you're like half as intelligent, half as powerful. Like there's like some sort of
That
consequence,
was Yeah, that was
right?
done in early editions, but they
Oh,
kind of dropped it because people weren't feeling good about it, I guess.
oh,
Um,
well.
yeah. Oh, just a note on the exposition that Peron gives. We get more on ascendance and
Oh
the
yeah,
nature of the
Professor
power of
Perron.
gods. Yeah, Professor Peron comes in and he gives us exposition that he didn't have regarding the moon. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, beliefs shape gods, and gods are able to use that power that belief gives them. But at the same time, they're chained by their worshippers,
Mm-hmm.
um, which has interesting implications uh, when you think about it. Um, is Hood such a merciless bastard because that's just how he is, or have people shaped him over the years to be like this?
Mm.
The same could go of even new gods like Shadow Throne, although it doesn't seem like a whole lot of people worship him. Um,
Yeah, who actually
or
worships Shadow Throne,
like
really?
Pust. He killed the shadow cults for kind of this reason.
On to chapter 11.
Chapter 11. Mappo sets out in pursuit of his friend, with the aid of some big players. Ganos lets the dogs out. Hiborg loses some weight, and Fellison Younger elopes.
Oh,
Who
that's
let the
awful.
dogs out?
Yeah, it was him the whole time. We've
Okay, I
solved the
do.
mystery of the 80s or the 90s. I don't know when the song came out.
90s.
Yeah, I think it was 90s. I really do like the concept of the Daragoths and then the Hounds of Shadow, and
Hmm.
really seeing them interact with each other and becoming whole. I really did like that. And in particular, I also really enjoyed. I don't know if anybody else really enjoyed it, but I did the conversation between Hedge and Perron about the logistics of releasing the Daragoths, and Hedge is like,
Oh, yeah.
so when the Daragoths like go hunt down their shadows first, and Perron's like, oh, I didn't even think of that, and then they were like talking through, um, okay, that means Perron's gonna go talk to Shadow Throne, and then we have that scene. Um, the logistician operations person in me really enjoyed that.
Oh, it's excellent, isn't it? And then
Really,
It's very
the
thorough.
plan comes together. It's so excellent.
I'm a
that was
planner.
what went over my head, but I really enjoyed the conversation between Shadow Throne and Perron, and Shadow Throne's use of exclamation points and yelling, and his
What kind of
fingers.
idiot would come up with this plan? First, you'd have to do this, then you'd have to do this, and then, oh, yeah, that's a good plan. I'm in.
When I was reading that part, I I had an image of Hades from Hercules,
Hmm.
like as Shadow Throne talking.
I could definitely see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Perrin seems
Just
to know what Shadowthrone's plan is, or at least that he's planning something, and that I don't know. He knows where it's
um
going.
yeah, I mean, I think I believe that Piran has like a pretty good sense of what Shadow Thrones. I mean, because he's also master of the deck, so he probably just has
Mhm.
more intuition power. Um, but I think I am in the camp that Shadow Throne is more competent and like intentional. He like has real
Mm.
actual reasons for whatever he's doing or like whoever he's recruiting and involving. Um, but I just don't necessarily know what the end game is.
Yeah, the end game of Shadow Throne Cotillion is one of the more fun mysteries in the series to try and work out. And the tension between what someone knows and what they're only bluffing to know
Mm-hmm.
um, is like apparently it's just what the gods the gods and ascendants have to learn in order to deal with each other, and it's really fun, in my opinion at least, to see. Piran was very bad at it at the start. He would just give away
Mm-hmm.
information and he would tell people he didn't know things, and not like by now he's really learned how to play the game and he's very
Mm-hmm.
good at it, which
Knowledge,
is really fun.
information really is a valuable currency.
Hmm.
Circle back to Gardens of the Moon.
Yeah, he learned that
Uh,
lesson very well from Topper.
I just had a thought. See, this is how my brain works. I apologize if people don't like it. Um,
I hate it.
I love
well,
it.
you're stuck
So
with
we've arrived
me.
at the golden mean.
Um, Among Us, if we had an Among Us session and everybody was a different Malazan god character or ascendant, that would be fun.
Yeah, or Krupp, or Pust. Just
Hmm.
imagine that would be
And
quite
we live
the.
stream it. Anyway,
Who do you think would do the best? I don't actually know.
I mean, it would depend on who's playing who. Who would you play?
It's true.
And
Who
you
would
have to
I
play
play?
it in character.
Oh. Okay.
I think
I'm bad at
Pust
social deduction.
would win every once in a while just from chaos.
um. Hmm.
So this chapter, uh, my favorite. I really like this chapter. The ending was great, but I really enjoyed the conversations between Heboric and Solara. I mean, it's just kind of what this book is about religion and faith and subjects and whatnot. But what really the end of Heboric and his last thoughts were quite touching for me. Also, who saw the ending coming?
Death of
Of
Haboric.
this chapter?
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody. I didn't.
Well,
Did you, Panda?
so didn't Erickson like set this up in like chapter 1, the
Yeah,
scene?
yeah, kind of, sort of.
It's just we just didn't know who those people
Mhm.
were.
Yeah, we didn't know who the Talani Moss were, and it's like Mekar was introduced, and he's like, "Hey, there are a bunch
Right.
of Talani Moss in the distance," and that's what this scene was, which is kind of weird for a prologue, especially like usually the prologues take place before the story, but this is in the middle of the story.
Yeah. I mean, when I had that realization, I was like, this sounds familiar. Oh, that's where I had seen it before. Um, that was cool. Definitely was not expecting Haborik to die. Like the way that he wrote it because it was so like da 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 and then all of a sudden,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you're like,
Yeah, a sword just goes through the guts of the horse or whatever, and
yeah,
it's
that
that
would
shocking.
be that would be a jump scare moment for me if this were a
Yeah.
film.
It reminds me of when Tool was introduced in Gardens of the Moon.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that's
Mm,
intentional.
yeah.
Um,
I don't know.
and well,
Yes.
Hood is there's a lot of flies, and then he
Yes.
hears a voice. I have something to show you.
Yeah. So that
Mm,
that made me think of the prologue or the beginning of Dead House Gates with the flies and then it's
Yep,
like, okay, so is this completing that thread where now Hood is like, okay, I'm gonna take you.
that's one way of interpreting it.
Yeah.
Those stinking flies, man.
Oh, it's so gross. And then like when what's her face is trying to save Cutter, she's like pulling out his intestines, and then like the
Ugh.
flies are going in the
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
And then
I just
the tragic moment when Grey Frog gets his legs cut off, and he's like, "Dismay, I can hop no more."
I'm so glad Grey Frog wasn't actually dead.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
what really got me about Hiborg's last thoughts was all of his regrets, and like he kind of wished that he had died in Skull Cup, or else like
Right.
Fenrir would still be Fenrir.
Yeah. He
He
wouldn't have
feels
dragged his god out of his
responsible.
realm.
He feels
Yep.
responsible for Bowden, Culp, Bellison. He feels responsible for everyone. He's like, it would just been better if I was dead. It's just such a
Do you
sad way to
agree
die.
that he is responsible?
For some of it, yeah. I mean, if he had died at Skull Cup, I mean, Fenrir would at the very least still be the god of war.
You don't think that somebody else would have fulfilled, like, I guess, is this manifest destiny, or like, is it fate that Fenner,
I don't
That's
know.
the good question, right? Because like in Memories of Ice, it seems that everyone at least has a feeling of what's going to happen before it actually does. Like there's this sense of doom over the Grey Swords, beyond the fact that they're just in a trapped city, and the
I think Steve just wrote it like that
Rathtrich-
because the reader already
Rathtrich.
knows about that.
Well, sort of, but also Rathtrich is like he's showing up. He's like It seems like Treach is becoming more powerful. It's hard to tell. And yeah, like Hiborg's last thoughts, like he's thinking a lot about the relationships of worshippers and their gods, and he's not having good thoughts about any of it.
And he wishes he
Mhm.
didn't touch the jade statues just so he wouldn't give the people inside hope.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a rough way to die.
I I don't know what it is. I think I should no, I know I should feel more about Horboric's death, but
I
I
didn't cry or anything.
don't.
Oh yeah, like he's such a broken man in all of this. I didn't feel very sad when he died, but thinking about the situation, at least in hindsight for me, it is emotional because I part of it is I have the benefit of hindsight.
Okay. I think that would be an interesting thing to discuss after we finish the main series, is just which deaths or like character endings were impactful and why.
Yeah, and Hiran and I know the like which characters have quote true deaths and which ones are coming back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
So that also impacts how we feel.
especially in this series, what does true death mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I
That's
mean,
why
like
I'm not going to
Whiskey
define
Jack
it.
is dead, but
Whiskey
like
Jack is dead.
he's absolutely dead. But he's also in the Bridge Burners, and everybody in Hood's realm is also dead. But they're still, spirits. So I don't know. It's kind of difficult to pin
Well,
down.
there's Sormo.
Sorbo Eneth, yeah, he's
Sornath,
dead,
yeah.
but like he's inside, those butterflies.
He was eaten by the Kate Moths. Or no, it was the butterflies, yeah.
I guess it's about like kind of going back to the conversation about resurrection and impactful deaths. It's like, okay, if death is not the final ending, quote unquote, right? Like, what can the character do after that death?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And how
Are they
much
just
can
like,
the living characters interact with that as well?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like Steve, he wrote the series anthropologically. Like him and Ian, they are both anthropologists and they know how cultures interact, and they want to write it from that perspective. And every culture has a different idea of what happens when you die. So I think
Culture, every religion, every like
every like
society.
individual person has a different concept, right?
Yeah.
And they do a great job, in my opinion, of like finding a balance between exploring people's beliefs and not having them dominate the setting.
I actually had a question. I think it was reading this chapter, and the question was, are there any atheists in Malazan, in like the world of Malazan?
Atheist in what sense?
Like they just don't believe that the gods are real,
Probably.
There
I'm sure
might
there
be
are.
some.
So I
but
think
we don't really see them.
we could dispute Because the characters that we follow are all, I suppose, important characters, or at least they're interacting with mages, and I mean, mages are going to understand at least where their power's coming from, right? I bet there's some country bumpkins out there who have almost no religion; they just believe nothing.
Um, there's also the aspect of it where maybe these people acknowledge that gods exist, but they do not worship them, and they probably don't want to interact with them at all.
Gnostic.
Yeah.
Or maybe just like they don't acknowledge powerful beings as being gods, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Like I think almost nobody sees gods the way that most people in the West do. The most people in Malazan see them as like the ancient Greeks did, where it's like these are powerful beings that need to be appeased or avoided. They are not to be loved. They are not your friends. They do not care about you.
And even the ancient Jews, I mean, the ancient Jews believed they weren't monotheistic. They just worshipped one god. They believed other
Yeah.
gods existed.
Yeah, Yahweh was their tribal god.
Okay.
Weren't there some conversations in Gardens of the Moon about some people be like, "Oh, I didn't know like magic was real. I've never seen it before."
Oh, I think like Ganos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I bet there are people like that. They're just like, "What's it matter to me? I don't think about religion." I don't know.
Especially in
It's-
the civilized places.
Mm.
Although those healers do seem to be common, like they've lost their shamans and they've lost their connection with the wilderness, which does seem to be a very common way of using and exercising magic.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking at my notes. Oh, there was a scene between Solara and Cutter before, well, obviously before they got cut open. Were attacked. That's a more eloquent
They
way
got all
of
cut
saying.
up.
It was about. Oh yeah, Cutter was like, "Hey woman, if not, hey woman, sorry, woman, if absolution is free, then all that we do here and now is meaningless." Well, maybe it is. Then it would not even be a question of justifying anything. Justification itself would be irrelevant. You invite anarchy, you invite chaos itself. She shook her head. No, because there's one force more powerful than all of that. Oh? Cutter asked. What? Solara laughed. What I was talking about earlier. She gestured once more at the ancient signs of tillage. Look around, Cutter, look around. I think she was talking about greed, but I'm not sure if how I read it is what was intended.
Like read the human concept of progress that Karsa spends so much time criticizing in these chapters.
Yeah.
I think just like the human desire to alter the world around you in a way that you want.
It's like
That's my take on that.
It's like taking you find something useful, you find something good, and it's just like taking it all, consuming it all.
Yeah. And there's a related epigraph later. I guess I'll just read it now because like this is a good time to discuss as any. There is something profoundly cynical, my friends, in the notion of paradise after death. The lure is evasion, the promise is excusative. One need not accept responsibility for the world as it is, and by extension, one need do nothing about it. To strive for change, to true goodness in this mortal world, one must acknowledge and accept within one's own soul that this mortal reality has purpose in itself, that its greatest value is not for us, but for our children and their children. To view life as but a quick passage along a foul, tortured path, made foul and tortured by our own indifference, is to excuse all manner of misery and depravity, and to extract cruel punishment upon the innocent lives to come. I defy this notion of paradise beyond the gates of bone. If the soul truly survives the passage, then it behooves us, each of us, my friends, to nurture a faith in similitude. What awaits us is a reflection of what we leave behind, and in the squandering of our mortal existence, we surrender the opportunity to learn the ways of goodness, the practice of sympathy, empathy, compassion, and healing, all passed by in our rush to arrive at a place of glory and beauty, a place we did not earn, and most certainly do not deserve.
Mm-hmm.
Good reading.
Thank you.
What are your thoughts?
Mine or yours?
Either one. Either one.
I'll keep mine private.
Oh.
I think it is an an interesting thing to be posed with if you believe in an afterlife. I don't, and I don't blame those who do, except for like there's a subset of people that like do use this as an excuse, that actively like there are movements that actively try to make the world worse so that they can get to paradise faster. And this, to me, is a pretty disgusting thing to do. But to argue against that, you would have to argue against their theology, which is very difficult. So
Nearly impossible, actually.
Yeah. So, like, it's important to pose the question, but you can't really persuade people out of these beliefs.
I've struggled with people like this my entire life, so it's very personal.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a very religious upbringing, and it's something that, like, I'm not even talking about other people. I'm just talking about myself. It's something that I've struggled with a lot before. I think I'm more at peace with how I feel about it now, but it's definitely like it can get you into a spiral where it's like, okay, it doesn't matter. Like impending doom is there on the horizon, and nothing that I personally do can really change that, or at least not enough to matter. And it, whether you want to take like climate change or, pandemic, whatever, like these big problems, big events. And it just, I hate feeling helpless. But then you have, the moments where you do make an impact on somebody else's life, on an individual level, or like you share moments with other people, that bonding, the social aspect, hang out with my friends, my family. You see a really cute dog, and you get to pet the dog or play with them. That brings you joy, and it's like, okay, maybe it is about just being able to experience the present, and not hurt other people, and maybe that's enough.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
In a non-religious sense, I struggle with this, especially when my depression is bad. Just retreating from reality, sleeping the day away, stuff like that. It's so hard sometimes to be present.
Yeah.
And to ground yourself in reality, because sometimes reality is very hard to exist in. So I think it's important to have temporary escapes and to feel like you have a purpose for things. But yeah, like at the end of the day, you have to get back to this reality, in my opinion at least, because this is the one that you get. This is the one everyone is sure that they have. If you have faith, that's excellent.
Unless you think this is all a simulation.
You know the conclusion to Bostrom's simulation argument? It
No.
doesn't matter. Treat it. Do not modify your behavior, because you don't know if you're in a simulation. He lays out 3 possibilities. We don't know which of these possibilities is true, and we have no way of finding out. So, in the end, what difference is it going to make? Right?
Okay, good point.
Move on.
Yeah, you go to chapter 12.
No, I have to read
No.
something. I think our fans would be angry with us if we didn't read this. You need a haircut, Megora, and I'm just the man to do it. Come near me with intentions other than amorous, and I'll stick you. Amorous? What a horrible thought.
Oh my god.
What if I told you I was pregnant? I'd kill the mule.
I'd kill the mule. I love that response.
The mule watched them with placid eyes.
Kill the mule. Yeah.
I do, I guess something that I still struggle with, even like reading the 6th book, is just this shift in the kinds of humor that Erickson employs, because like sometimes it's so ridiculous, and the majority of the tone of this series is like pretty heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And like the humor, there's a lot of dark humor, but then you get something like just so ridiculous like this, and I'm just it's jarring. I'm just like,
I'm
yeah.
I'm telling you, Malazan would be excellent as a stage play.
I agree. Yes, I
Yeah.
definitely agree.
If I can just get the community to get like back me on this, we can like pressure Steve into writing, like either writing or rewriting something for the stage, and then we can all go and see Malazan on stage together, and it'll be
I
excellent.
mean, they turned the ocean at the end of the lake. Granted, it's much much shorter. Um, they turned that into a play, and apparently it's very good. Which I hope to see it one day, even though I wasn't a huge fan of the book when I read it the first time. I've only read it once, but I'll give it another chance. Um, but yeah, like I would pay money to go see Malazan in whatever storyline he wants to do as a play.
Yeah.
Except
So,
preferably not the ones with a lot of spiders. Just,
oh yeah, of course. Unless the spiders themselves are acted out by people in costumes, like cats.
So no Pasta Magora story.
Um.
I
So,
mean, if she turns into spiders like off stage, that's fine.
call to action for readers: spam Steve with emails.
Oh god, don't do that.
Assault his publisher with
Let's go to chapter
demands.
12.
Oh no, no. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't do it. But honestly, I think this is a good idea. Chapter 12. Karsa and Samar Dev learn of the legend of Iskar Jarak. Ikariam and Terralak find some boats. Barathal and Lorik patch up some travelers. Felison acquires some cheap real estate, and we get a peek at Cotillion and Shadow Throne's intentions.
Penis bone.
That's true. He's offered a large penis bone.
That's probably why the eater attacked them, right?
Totally. Mhm.
Panda, what do you think about this Iskar fella?
Iskar Jarak.
Okay, so this is the first instance, like actually in the series, where I've seen this character come up. But it's not the first time I've encountered this name because of Iskar Jarak on YouTube and the Malazan community. So it was like really weird where it was like, I know the name, but I actually know like nothing about the character.
You don't know if he's
And
important
now,
either.
well, I mean, he chose that name for a reason.
I mean, I could choose like Pella as a name. I mean, Pella died
Yeah,
in this
but
book.
Pella.
I like
but
Pella.
I mean, I feel like it's important enough, and this character is like mysterious and seems like a time traveler, maybe.
Let me explain to you what happened.
Okay,
So, some years ago, in the Frozen
Yeah.
time, as these people call
right
it,
in the past.
they encountered a Malazan company, and the Malazan commander said, "There's going to be more of us coming this way."
I
Or
see.
like he gave them some
Okay.
kind of warning like that. You should get yourselves to new land, and they were
Okay.
like, "Oh yeah, let's do this," because this is like the first time they'd seen people with steel weapons or whatever.
see.
So it's like kind of a cargo cult situation. Yeah, and they took his advice. They changed their entire society, and they just packed up and left.
Okay.
Iskar Jarak basically saved him from either being taken over by the Malazans or being killed by all the Malazans.
I see. I see. Okay, not time traveler.
And his predictions came true. Predictions in
Mhm.
quotes.
Well, more like he knew the plans of the Malazan Empire.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But
he knew
to
their
these people,
strategy.
what are these people's name?
Abid
There's an A.
Arbanar?
Yeah, something like that.
Abidnor?
To these people, they were predictions that came true. So
Yeah,
just
and he was a man with real presence.
Anabar.
You get the
Anabar.
feeling.
Anabar.
Yeah, the Anabar.
Okay, so this guy, I mean, is presumably way dead. Presumably.
Yeah, you might think that.
Mm-hmm. Do I really believe that?
Mhm.
I do really like how in this section the Anabar, they're mostly familiar, but the way they perceive time is very different from us.
Yeah,
It's the
I really like
frozen
that.
time. Yeah, the frozen time, the flowing time, and the unfound.
Yes.
And people might think that these are just linguistic differences. No, they are like these are indicative of meaningful difference. For example,
Concepts.
yeah, there is a tribe where people don't know relative direction. If you tell them go left or go right, they don't know what that means.
Hmm.
Instead, they know absolute direction. Go north, go south, go west. They know what that means. They can like they're always oriented. They always know which direction is what. Um,
People
and
in
this
these
is
societies that have these languages, they've been taken out of their environment, and they can't still follow their language rules when they're not somewhere they're familiar with. And it's not like they can't learn the concepts of left and right.
you're right, but like when encountered,
Yeah.
like this is how their culture is set up. Um, it seems like a useful skill, honestly, to always have always be oriented. Um, yeah, like it's very easy to underestimate the extent to which your culture can completely condition the way you think.
Hmm. And actually, okay, I don't know if I'm gonna get flack for this. I
Black.
probably will. But here goes. Um, I kind of have a beef with arithmetic.
Do you like a punch
Elaborate.
sometimes?
Like 1 + 1 = 2,
Yep.
2 + 3 = 5. Like,
Thanks for the lesson.
yes, there's your math lesson. It is a man-made concept,
Mhm.
human-made concept. And I actually got into arguments before with people, and then finally I was just like, whatever, not worth my breath. That like math isn't real. It's human made, and then they got really upset and they're like, no, math is real. And I was like, yeah, but like 1 + 1 = 2, like these things, it doesn't have to be that way. It's just we've agreed that it is that way. Like in a different reality, or if we all agreed like 5 + 3 = 6, right? Like that would be the
So,
same.
this is an excellent transition into metaphysics. No, this will be short, I promise. Yeah, the axioms you choose for mathematics have a huge impact. Well, they actually define what you can do with mathematics. A fun example is Terrence Howard got upset that 1 × 1 is not 2, so he tried to make a system of math where that was the case. But it turns out we have good reasons for having these axioms and having the things work this way. But yeah, the notion that math is a human construct or a conscious being construct, that's a position called nominalism. The contrary position is that humans are somehow able to access another realm, an intellectual realm, a platonic realm of ideals, and we're able to get information from that. And through that, we can construct mathematics and have knowledge of things like redness or whatever.
I think mathematics
Goodness.
is just a language for which we try to understand the fundamental laws
Yes,
of the universe.
I agree.
If we apply it to
And
physics, yeah.
yes, I agree. And I know what I said is a bit extreme, but it was more to illustrate like if we wanted to say that 1 is actually 2 and call it 2, right? It doesn't change like reality, but it would change the way we speak, like the words that we use.
Yeah,
in
your
Japanese,
position is
1
not
+ 1 does
extreme.
not equal 2.
Yeah, that's a coherent statement. That is a very valid philosophical view. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I don't remember why I gave that.
I don't remember either. Next chapter?
Yeah. Okay. Next chapter? Well, we haven't even talked about some of this one.
No, yeah.
Lork.
Oh,
Lork is a jerk.
yeah.
Is that this chapter?
I think he's just distant. He's disconnected.
He shows his Leosin side, in my opinion, here. Because he's very concerned with the way things should be. And he sees that they're going to diverge. Something can be the right way or it can be the wrong way. And he's like, I need to make it the right way. And it's a noble enough mindset. It's like he wants this child to have a loving mother and he wants the mother to love the child. But he's not willing to consider the extenuating circumstances. He's not willing to consider the fact that Solara seemingly does not care about her kid. She wants it gone. And there are 2 perfectly willing women in the village to raise it. He's just like, no, you have to raise your child. That's what mothers do. They raise their children. And then it eventually just kind of like leaves in a huff. with Grey Frog.
Yeah, this is a difficult thing for me because in general, I'm fine with Lorik. I like him, but yeah, he really just comes off as a huge jerk. But like Grey Frog says, I think he's working through his own parental problems because he's got daddy and mommy issues.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, he could be projecting, right? Like, I don't necessarily know who his mother is, or really how he was raised. But that section, um, the like real world kind of relatedness. Wow, I lost words. I'm sorry. How I related that to our world is rape victims.
Hmm.
And there's the view of, okay, yes, you suffered, but you are still responsible for giving birth and taking care of this child. And then, for the victim, like, that seems like an unreasonable request for them because of the trauma that they've gone through. They're not ready to be, they may not be ready to be a mother. They may not want the reminder of what happened. Like,
Hmm.
the whole thing about what Lorik was doing and what the rest of the village was doing is just, Erickson put it really well, how like it's so easy to be that like righteous when it's
Hmm.
not happening to you.
And it costs
Oh,
you nothing.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, when it costs you nothing.
Yeah.
And yeah, like having a child in the right circumstances, I'm told, is the most wonderful thing in the world. But in the wrong circumstances, it can legitimately ruin both your life and the life of the child. If someone isn't ready to be a parent, then and like they don't think that they're capable of being a parent, like there are hard questions that like they should ask, or and they should be guided through those decisions in a sympathetic way. Like no one solution is right for everybody. And like there are plenty of mothers who had a child from rape and their child is a lovely part of their life and they wouldn't give up their child for anything. But there are also mothers who can't deal with that in that way, and like there's no one size fits all solution here. Like everything is context dependent, which it's very easy to lose sight of when you have an absolutist view of the world.
Absolutist
Yeah.
until it applies to you for many people.
Yeah.
Yep. And we'll leave it there for the podcast.
For the podcast, yep. Phyllis and Younger gets the millennial dream. She has a place to live, and she doesn't have to pay rent on it.
I do have a question.
Yep.
And I think it was Mekar, who also had this question. How did the Talanimas transport Fellison the Younger?
I still have no idea how this happened.
Didn't they take a horse?
No, they
I don't
killed
know.
the horse.
No, her horse is there.
She said that there was like a hand gripping her a lot for a long time. Like
So-
she might have been just dragged.
So if like there had been an observer, they would have just seen a bunch of dust and like this child trailing the dust across the land.
And
They
didn't he
could
say
also
that there were
just
no
walk
tracks?
away. Oh, maybe.
Well, I mean, the no tracks
Well-
part I can kind of get, because if it's like on the dust, then
They can also just cover their tracks.
yeah.
I suppose, yeah, they just
Yeah.
walked away and covered their tracks.
Yeah.
But then what? Yeah, I don't know.
This is I feel like this is a moment, unless Erickson explains it later, which I really doubt he will. It's just like, you know what? Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it
It
doesn't
just
matter.
happened. It happened.
How did Yzma get there first? By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
I don't know.
It's soft magic.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a situation where I am fine just not having an explanation. Does not matter.
But see, he's the one that posed the
asked,
question in the
yes.
first place.
Like, why are they asking us this if we're not supposed to think about it?
Because he wants to tease you.
Yeah, that's the feeling I get.
Well, we found out where Kulat went. He shows back up. And then I only had one quote that I wrote down for this chapter. Well, there probably were others, but anyway. And it's from Pust. It's at
Good
the
choice.
very end of the chapter. Well, to begin with, I need to pee. And I resonate with that because I say that a lot. And that's probably TMI. But anyway,
Hey, it's a good place to start.
I need to walk
Like,
away. Actually,
almost
that's
no matter what you're doing.
yeah, that's a good excuse. Like if you need to walk away from a situation, just announce I need to use the toilet. Just walk away.
There's a
My
Legendarium
favorite
Green Team podcast where we extrapolate P quotes.
my favorite thing to say when I need to leave a conversation is I have to return some videotapes.
What are videotapes?
I
Just
know,
kidding.
right?
Video cassettes.
I have to return some videotapes. Shadow Throne and Cotillion. We're trying to map the Azath Warrens. Or Azath houses.
Yeah,
Isn't that wild?
they're
neat.
And the Azath houses.
explorers.
Yeah, the Azath houses seem to map onto elemental forces.
Mm.
It's big brain, isn't it?
Mm.
Elemental forces is a common phrase in this book, isn't it?
In this book, yeah. There's light, death, dark, light, shadow, possibly, but even that seems like a truncated selection. What of, for example, time, past, present, future? What of desire and need, sound, silence? Or are the latter two but minor aspects of air? Does time belong to light? Or is it but a point somewhere between light and dark, yet distinct from shadow? What of faith and denial? Can you understand, Mappo, the potential complexity of relationships? Yo, this is very soft magic. This is not a situation where Steve's gonna be like, there's 16, and then later on he's gonna write more books, and he's like, I actually need more than 16.
I want to love Warren.
Yeah, why isn't
That-
there one?
There might be, as Cotillion notes here. Maybe there is, or at least there's an Azath house for it.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Chapter 13. Ganos makes his way over to his old friend Dujek. Our bone hunters do a lot of complaining and ruminating. Dejim Nabral gets curb stomped yet again. And the 14th arrives at the sea. Panda, you might have not noticed in this chapter, but we got introduced to a very important character.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Malazan Galani she has the fattest derriere of anyone in the Bone Hunters, and people will notice this. And people will comment on this a lot.
I love Malazan Galani.
She
Has a big badonkadonk.
She is fine. Everybody wants to get with her. And I just want you to prepare yourself for this.
I
Malazan makes
don't
me
even
thirsty.
remember that character. To be
She's the one
honest.
they send out on the horse.
Yeah, she.
Oh,
she,
okay.
She takes
She's
down
just
Dejim
naked.
Nabral.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That was another instance of Erickson subverting readers' expectations because it's like, oh yeah, you would think that she would like get to the 14th and then relay the
Mhm.
message, but nope. But
Or get killed by Dejim Nabral, because this is like apparently an uber powerful entity.
Who's
well,
got
I
his
wasn't
ass kicked
expecting
every
her
single
to.
time, including Malazan Galani, who was introduced, I think, this chapter.
Yep.
Yes.
Introduced this chapter. She is almost fully naked. Gessler can't stop staring at her boobs.
To be honest, if she's really that good looking and I saw her, I probably wouldn't be able to stop staring at her boobs either.
Right? It's a hard problem. No pun intended.
She's canonically beautiful.
Yeah.
Is she a game character? You think?
I don't know. But importantly, she's not just an object of sexual attraction. She's also actually very cool, and she has her own character.
Yes. Yes.
So thank you, Steve.
Thank you. We
She
can
was
have.
Dalhon, right?
You can have both. Huh?
Yeah.
What do you say
She
here?
was Dalhonese.
Something like that. She's also a mom,
Oh yeah.
Mm,
so I guess Steve's into MILFs.
or somebody in their D&D group is.
Yeah, maybe.
Lestara's back.
Yep.
She is. She
How did
She
she
kept her hair.
survive?
Cotillion saved her.
Yeah, Cotillion saved her because she danced for him once.
Oh yeah. Okay. Right.
Yeah, when writing summaries, I was like, yeah, nothing really happens with the Bone Hunters. They just kind of walk and complain.
They're good at it.
I mean,
They are
I
good at
don't
it.
blame them.
Yeah,
They
it is a soldier's walk.
survived. Yeah.
Yeah.
This chapter is mostly about Perrin anyway. in my opinion.
This
I have
section that we've read is mostly about him.
I have a serious question, but not really.
Absolutely. Yeah.
How do you pronounce Sobelone?
Cebolone.
Say that again.
Cebalone? He said
Cebolone.
Cebalone. Yeah. Cebalone? Cebalone?
I wish
Cebalone.
I had Yes Night here too, because he would have listened to the audiobook and he would tell us how wrong the audiobook pronounces it. In my brain, when I saw this, for some reason, it was Sobelone.
Cebolone.
I like it.
Sobelone.
Cebolone. I
Cebolone.
like that. How'd you like Perrin breaking into the camp and then like knocking out those people?
He gets
Okay, I
arrested. The
did.
girl's like, kill him. And he just punches her.
F this.
Wait, what chapter are we in?
13?
Chapter 13.
Does that happen 13?
Thought so.
Yeah, I think so.
I thought that was 14.
Yeah.
I don't think Ganos is in chapter 14.
Mm.
He might be.
Yeah. Sweet Creek. Captain Sweet Creek orders Perrin imprisoned.
Oh, okay. Anyway, my note on that was it was very thorough. Erickson's description of how Perrin secured Sweet Creek and Fuskar.
Uh-huh.
Like, he made sure to tie them all the way down so that they couldn't shake the tent and then alert people.
And he tied the guy's tongue back in his mouth so that he couldn't make more than a groaning sound or whatever.
It was just very meticulously.
That's true. It is
written.
odd how in detail he gets there.
He had to play it out in all these different ways. Like, oh, what could give him away?
Yeah.
That sounds like a DM trying to like get around some rules and like the player being like, okay, well I do this and this and this. Like, oh, what? I don't know what to do now.
So, this is like complete unrelated. What is the obsession with Hood's like
Genitals?
parts?
It's I don't know. It's just funny.
They're being irreverent about something that isn't typically very irreverentable.
Hug Hood's snake till he shrieks. If somebody just maps out every time Hood's balls, Hood's whatever is used as a curse.
Yep. It's a lot. Like,
it's
poor
a lot.
Hood. What has he done to deserve all this abuse thrown his way?
Like, maybe he should just cut it off at this point. I don't know.
Maybe it's simpler. Well, you never know. Maybe he's just a skeleton. He doesn't have any, unless he has the penis bone from one of those monsters.
I love the fact that Hurlikel tells Perrin to pretend to be Captain Kindly.
Yeah.
And we know Kindly, so we know what he's like. So I think it makes it funny.
We're getting indications of what he's like. We haven't seen the true depth of Kindly yet.
Yeah,
we saw a little bit with Pores. How Pores is just like, I'm still healing.
His leg is injured. Kindly's like, stop it. This wagon is for actual wounded people. Yeah. What's your excuse? You don't have any.
Character Dun Sparrow.
I
find out she's the sister of Whiskey Jack.
Bum, bum, bum. Who saw that coming? Not me. Although the bird thing kind of.
I saw it coming this time.
The bird thing. Although, I mean, would I? Nah, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
The thing with sisters, right?
Yeah,
I don't have any.
No, I mean like Quickben's sisters and his and
I see.
Ron's sisters.
Smiles?
Jack's sister.
Whiskey Jack's sister. Smiles' sister.
Smiles? Oh yeah, Smiles' sister. Yeah.
Yeah, it's our sister. Yeah.
Or twin sister.
Twins run in my family.
Jealous. I always wanted a twin.
Me too.
Sounds like a good life.
Something else happened here. Oh yeah, she's consecrated.
She's consecrated to Hood.
To Hood. Mm-hmm. But she's like...
Not really, right? Let's joke about it.
Yeah, if we joke about it, surely a Hood will forget.
I don't understand. Well, I kind of understand that logic, but at the same time, it's like...
they were really grasping at straws.
Yeah.
Yeah. But see, okay, so she's consecrated to Hood, but she is on the apocalypse side.
Well, like, I guess in Hood's religious terms, she kind of belongs to him, right? But she's never been a part of that. And that's kind of why. So like she's still doing her own thing. It's just like Hood's like, oh, curse you
I'll
So,
get
like,
you one day, Dun Sparrow.
by killing your brother.
right.
Yeah, that's how he got
Okay.
back at Whiskey Jack. That's why Whiskey Jack was so stubborn in
Right.
refusing
And
Mallet's
not getting,
healing.
which that
Yeah.
answers that question when we were talking about it in Memories
Yeah.
of
Mhm.
Ice.
We
Get
couldn't
it.
really. Yeah.
Yeah. But,
And then
okay.
I think it's probable that like Hood also like maybe nudged Whiskey Jack's bad leg to shatter at like that exact wrong moment.
Mm-hmm.
Because if Whiskey Jack had just gotten his follow through, Calor probably would have died.
How does Hood, okay, this is gonna
Magic.
sound too jargony, but what is Hood's prioritization framework for
Mm.
how he chooses who he's meddling with and when?
So part of this is, like I said, um, worshippers have in part forced this upon him. It seems, um, like God is, sorry, the God of Death is very jealous, and he keeps who he thinks is his,
Mm-hmm.
which tracks with our beliefs about death, right?
Mm.
Um, so Hood's personality has in part been influenced by this, and so when people cheat death, when people
Right.
cheat Hood, then he's very angry about it, and it makes him act in ways that, like, Spite says she thinks he regrets it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like it's Hood probably made a mistake here. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Calor being dead would probably be good for a lot of people, and Whiskey Jack not dying like that probably would have been good for a lot of people, including Hood. So
Yeah.
yeah, like gods are forced to act irrationally all the time in Malazan, which makes things very complicated.
Mm-hmm.
um,
Unpredictable.
yeah,
But
and
see,
sometimes they're forced to do things that they don't want, like actively don't want to do.
they are unpredictable, yet still people try to predict them. Like even other gods still try to predict other gods.
Yeah,
And it
and
seems like Shadow Throne is fairly good
mhm.
at predicting what other people will or will not do.
Yeah, and he's like trying very hard to not be someone you worship as well.
Hmm.
And we saw like the Errant did this
That
back
makes
at
sense.
yeah, the Errant did this back thousands of years ago because he was sick of people putting blood in his mouth and forcing him to do things.
Hmm.
Both sides appeal to you, and you kind of get your mind shattered, right?
Hmm.
Um, and the point is made like what kind of influence must this have on your personality if 1,000 different people are asking you to do 1,000 different things, and you actually
Right.
have an obligation to all 1,000 of them.
Mm.
So yeah, like gods in the Malazan universe are like a very tough time of it.
Who was it who told the story that about the god who died and they found out later because somebody killed in his name?
Oh yeah, that was maybe Grey Frog. It was Grey Frog to Lorik.
Right.
Oh.
Once the first person had died in that god's name, the god was killed.
Wait, Grey Frog to Mekar, right?
No, it was Lorik.
What a lark. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I think, yeah. Um, in Gardens of the Moon, there was the talk of like Mason of Hood.
Yeah.
So now we know that was Whiskey Jack.
It certainly seems that way. Yeah, yes. That was that. I'm not trying.
Hmm.
Yeah.
We find out here in chapter 13 that Curdle and Teleras are
They're
dragons.
dragons.
Oh yeah, that seems like it'll be important, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it already becomes important in this
And I
in this
really
bit.
do like the reveal, like how that happened. It was just like da 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 da. And Bottle's like, Bottle.
Yeah, it was Bottle who noticed.
I'm sure she knows, right?
Yeah, knows what? Why she has two dragons in tow?
Yep.
They're not dragons, they're tiny. Oh, they're dragons. And then Fiddler's like,
Yeah,
okay.
that's Erickson loading a big old Chekhov's gun.
Mm-hmm.
So two dragons were trying to take over the throne of Shadow, according to Edgewalker, and they were trying to heal the realm, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Right.
And these are
Oh,
like by far the weirdest dragons we had so far. Like everyone, like all the other ones seem to take themselves very seriously.
yeah. These two are very talkative.
Very talkative, and they're very silly.
Very
Very silly.
silly.
Kind of
Okay,
like us.
I'm ready for 14.
Okay, chapter 14. Cutter, Solara, and Grey Frog recover from the mishap. Then Lorik takes his frog and goes home. Mappo makes friends with Spite, and Fellison Younger city builds.
Okay, this is the chapter where Paran. I say his name so
No,
many different
he's
ways.
not in this chapter.
This is not.
It's chapter 15. Chapter 15 is the one with where he just
Ah,
kind of goes
frick.
ham. Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Sorry, you have to wait a bit longer.
That's fine.
This is the chapter where the pregnancy thing is discussed, but yeah, we'll just ignore that.
So, yeah, we'll pretend like the thing we talked about earlier is in this chapter.
Yeah.
We know that who looked into the discussion between the Queen of Dreams and
Cutter.
Liam and Cutter, right?
Butter.
Yep.
And the Queen of Dreams was disappointed that Korab wasn't there because he was touched by the lady.
Yeah, he's the favored of Opan.
I mean, that makes sense because of how freaking lucky that dude is.
Yep.
We didn't mention it in a previous chapter, but I really liked his conversation with Fiddler when he's like, "Well, I can't join the Malazans. I haven't put like a babe on a spear.
Like the baby or
Oh
whatever.
yeah.
Like, you don't do that." Oh, okay.
Everyone told us that you did. It's weird.
He's not the brightest.
He's not the brightest. He did
He's
swallow the rhetoric of the apocalypse just kind of whole.
Mhm.
But he was also the only one out of Leomin's group of fanatics that really saw the light. So there is something to be said about being stupid. Or at the very least,
Well,
stupid in a conventional sense. I think he's emotionally sort of intelligent.
we do find out that the Queen of Dreams is interested in saving Fellison, the younger.
Nelson Younger, yeah.
Is she doing?
And Lorik himself was also trying to save her. So, yeah, it is a bit of a turning point, the fact that she gets captured.
You think in this episode we just got like so messed up in which chapter, like events
Yeah.
from which chapter we're talking about? So apologies to listeners. We didn't do a good job of tracking that.
No. It's not that we're doing a bad job of tracking it. It's just we have a non-linear episode structure.
Most modern like that.
We have this little tale about this kid who he's struck by disease, by polio.
Oh yeah,
and he ends up killing his entire village.
Yep.
And the dogs are fat.
He's a carrier.
And Fellison is gonna take him as a lover, is how I read it.
It's definitely
I
the
read it like that
implication.
too.
Yeah.
I'm going through puberty. This kid's around my age. I'm very
Well,
horny.
He's 9 years old.
Oh, really? He's that young?
Yeah, it says he's 9.
That's
Or at least he
messed up.
was
How old
9.
is
He might have
Fellison
lost
the
track of
younger?
his... She's like
Probably
14.
13.
Okay.
13, 14.
Okay. Well.
Yeah, she just gets her period and then she starts. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it did mention that blood would started flowing between her legs.
It happens. The red pandas.
Speaking of red pandas, I am like choosing to spend time with you instead of watching Turning
it.
Red at the moment.
I was wondering if you'd watch it yet.
Not yet.
Oh,
Later
is it on
tonight.
Disney Plus?
Yeah.
Look at that. Maybe I'll watch it.
My expectations are not high, but I'm gonna go in and hopefully have a good time.
Low expectations is the best way to go into something always.
Yeah. This is. It seems that this is the movie that Pixar is throwing to the Canadians. So I'll really just have to treasure it for what it is, even though nothing about it appeals to me.
Oh, come on! Inside Out was all about hockey.
She did have a memory of playing hockey. Yes.
No, like it was a lot more than that. It was like hockey. It was the hockey movie.
I
disagree with that.
That is maybe the most hyperbolic statement said by Karsa Orlong.
Yeah, so this chapter is about Karsa and Samar having these great conversations.
Oh yeah, they just talk a bunch. Yeah.
I won't repeat them because it's not like they're saying anything new, but they're still golden.
think I probably.
He was complaining about how I shouldn't say complaining. He was talking about how civilization helps us kill each other easilier, thanks to technology. And she's like, "Hey,
Hmm.
technology's cool," and he's like, "No, it's not."
And she's like, no, civilizations can adapt. Well, no, he's like, civilization happens when savages get better at things, like killing people and enslaving them and then
Yeah.
ruining the land.
Um,
And she's like, hey, stop that.
Speaking of those two and Boat Finder, which I do like that name, Boat Finder. The scaled bear that they encountered.
Hmm.
Okay, so the card captor moment totally does happen before, doesn't it? In this chapter?
I think it
Oh, the
happened a couple
Or
card
chapters
whatever.
capture?
before.
Oh, yeah, the card capture,
It
that
happened in
happens.
chapter 11.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
happens in chapter
So
11, yeah.
like Paran was like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this thing. Just get up this whatever hill thingy." And then the guardian, I guess he was guarding the Daragoth, the scale bear,
Mm.
and the scale bear starts rushing him, and he's like, "I don't even know if this is gonna work, but I'm gonna do this."
I
Whips out
sure
a
hope this works, I
card.
think he says.
Yeah, whips out a card,
Are you
and
whispering something like magic?
What was
I hope
that
this
spell?
works.
Oh, yeah,
and
this
the
works, yeah.
bear just vanishes.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was not expecting that. Totally had Sakura card captor moment. And then also, I think it was like Hedge who asks him. Somebody asks him, like, where did the bear go? He's like, where? Who knows? And apparently,
Into a warren.
Karsa and Samar Dev, right?
Mhm.
Oh,
Xandar.
yeah, that's true, isn't it? Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that.
Consequences.
Yeah, consequences.
He
Carsa
saves
just
them.
goes off and tries to kill it and fails.
Well, now it's
Hilarious.
escape. So who knows
Yeah.
where it's gonna go?
It's gonna
Maybe
go
maybe it's
beat up
gonna hunt
Benjamin
down the
Brawl.
Daragoths.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Oh, also, I feel like I should just note,
Hmm.
in exchange for his help, Hedge was like, you're gonna make us bridge burners a card. And Prawn's like,
Oh
oh,
yeah.
nice of you to tell me. Anyways, that's big.
Whatever that means.
Yep.
Yes.
As master of the deck, he can do things like that. Make people cards.
That's a pretty powerful thing because he can also apparently summon, um, like summon
Gods.
gods
Yeah.
Yep.
with the
Shadow
He's the
Lord,
card
master
come
of the
here
deck.
now.
He's the referee. He can just kind of be like, hey, you, get over here. I'm issuing you a yellow card. And these people
Yeah.
have played without referees for like thousands of years. So they're not used to it.
Unexpected element.
To go back a little bit to our God talk, I actually had this quote from Grey Frog's story. Lorg asks him what the tale's relevance is. He says, perhaps this. The existence of many gods conveys true complexity of mortal life. Conversely, the assertion of but one god leads to a denial of complexity, and encourages the need to make the world simple, not the fault of the god, but a crime committed by its believers. If a god does not like what is done in its name, then it should act. Yes, yet if each crime committed its name weakens it, very soon I think it has no power left and so cannot act, and so ultimately it dies.
Yeah, it's very ironic, just the relationship between the gods and the worshippers.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be a god if you had a choice?
No.
Depends on what I'd be the god of.
What would you want to be the god of?
What do I want to be the god of? Oh, that's a good question. Like
Pretentiousness?
the simple answer is just oceans because the oceans are cool, and you got to be this vast, unknowable being.
So it'd be like Mal,
Male, yeah.
male.
Bug.
Yeah, maybe a bit like male. He does seem very chill, right? And, gods of time are nice. Who would I be? Maybe like the god of nerdy hobbies. That's where I find my joy.
Case
Oh
in
god of
point.
hangovers.
Oh, god of hangovers. No, not that one. That's
No,
the worst one.
no, thank you.
I would take Whiskey Jack's advice from the prologue and just live a very, very quiet life.
Do not catch the attention of the gods.
Yeah, Whiskey Jack himself does not listen.
I mean, was it even his? He didn't really have a choice,
He
did
could
he?
have retired at any point, or like he could have drowned, quote, and gone and
At
know,
that
But
point,
like,
lived at a lighthouse.
he'd already been the leader of like the Malazan Empire or the Malazan military under Shadowthroat, who'd become a god, and he'd already stolen his sister from Hood.
Yeah, it's true. Like, but
okay,
it's never
fine.
too late to just kind of abandon it all and make a life for yourself, right?
You think
Like
Hood wouldn't find him?
Urko Crust is on the same level of it as him, and he's just kind of doing his archaeological dig at the lighthouse, and no one's really bothering him except for recently.
Okay, this is like nothing related to anything we just talked about, but it did remind me, where the heck? Like nobody is talking about Kaladin Brood's hammer.
Mm,
Like all this talk
yeah.
about the gods, right? The war, like the hammer seemed like really important back in was it Memories of Ice? And also nobody's like really mentioned burn until like later, like towards the end of these sections that we
hmm
read. Is that
Um,
on purpose, or people just like don't really know?
um, how about we talk about this next chapter? Because then we can
Okay.
talk about Poliel and
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Next chapter.
Yeah, sure. Next chapter. Chapter 15. Ganos plays with some dogs, killing a goddess along the way, and finding himself commanding an army. Finds himself commanding an army. Um,
I got a question for Panda.
Hmm.
What do you imagine Poliel is?
Polio.
Yeah.
I mean, I just kind of took it as like, the four horsemen of the apocalypse, and she's like disease.
hmm.
Anything about her description stand out?
Oh,
Her name
frick.
sounds like polio.
Well, I did think that, but I thought, is that too on the nose? But apparently not. It is. Is she? Is the disease polio? That doesn't make sense.
Well, no, she's a goddess of plagues, but yeah,
Okay.
polio's a plague, right?
Yeah. But what about the rats? Like, what is her relationship with rats?
Rats are plague carriers
Yeah.
historically.
Right. But Egotten, like, I'm still convinced that Egotten
Just infected them all.
gave them all a vaccine against
Oh, vaccine against.
the
And
plague.
as much as I wish this were true, and I think it's absolutely brilliant, and I say it with all earnestness, just don't think about that.
Yeah,
Aw, now I'm
yeah.
disappointed.
Gotta
I
Even
mean,
read
though
that at
I
some
wish
point.
I wish it was written like this, and that there was some sort of
Absolutely.
connection. But it's rats
it
carry
just
plague, and she's the
seems
goddess of plagues.
it's right there.
Yeah.
And
Honestly,
maybe
if you bring this up to Steve, I imagine he'll be like, "Ah, good point. Maybe I could have done something with that."
Fine.
Yeah, put that in your notes for when we interview him next.
Okay. If he isn't sick of us.
He'll never be sick of us. But yeah, like about Poliel, she is trying to do what Kaladin Brood could do with one swing of his hammer. It's revealed, she is trying to
Right.
cleanse the earth, to cleanse burn of humans.
I guess, yeah, okay.
She
I,
thinks
I
of
see
herself
that.
as the
Mhm.
fever that is going to kind of eradicate them and then like fix the world.
noble in some way.
Yeah, it's a noble goal to fix the world, but it's kind of a monstrous way to go about it.
Mhm.
And I think this is a necessary counterbalance to all the anti-civilization talk that has been spouted. Because yeah, my cat's very upset about it too. Okay, I need to let him out. Okay. Yeah, like Karsa is like, get rid of it. Get rid of civilization. Mappo's story earlier on, it relays the struggles of the Trell against the encroaching civilization. So it's easy to hate that civilization, but you also have to remember, like the Letheri, most of the people there are just people trying to live their lives.
Right.
And as much of a power fantasy it is, sort of, to just imagine yourself slaying the unrighteous, unwashed hordes who are invading your homeland, it's a monstrous thing to do. So, like,
Mhm.
the tension between these, like, the desire to do this good, to rid the world of like to make the world better, and the way you go about it, like it's so hard to find a good balance. And like he's not suggesting a fix for this.
Yeah.
He sees the problem too. He doesn't know what to do, but he knows that you don't do that.
Yeah. I mean, I can see the perspective of seeing humans as parasites on the earth. Like, yeah, we
hmm
we do act like it. Not gonna lie.
We kind of deserve it.
Yeah, and then ethical questions.
We got 2 really cool throwbacks to Dead House Gates, I thought, this chapter. Because first we meet the girl that Fiddler and crew save from under the truck.
Yeah. And then
And
broke
later,
face.
and Broken
Broke
Face, the
Face,
guy
yeah.
who got his face bitten off by a horse. And he actually had a really good ending. I was really happy for him.
Yeah.
Like, he got into this, bad deal and got into kind of a worse deal. And then Absalar's like, hey, it's kind of my fault that you got your face broken. Let me give you some advice.
Yeah.
Um,
That was a good arc. Short.
yeah.
Very short.
Yeah, very short, but it's very good because in him you see exactly why someone would follow the crippled god.
Right.
Something happens. This guy is disfigured. Life is cruel to him, and so in response, he gives himself to Poliel and the crippled god in turn, and kind of like there's a lot of glorification of
Brokenness.
being crippled and broken.
Yeah.
But like he lost sight of the fact that that's actually like it's fine to learn to live with a disability or a handicap, but at the same time, like you can't fall into self-pity like this. You can't fail to
It's not
engage with
healthy.
life on its own terms. Yeah, like this will not lead you to happiness, as like seductive as it is.
And above anything else, you shouldn't take it on other people.
Yes, and you shouldn't like glorify it. Like it's kind of a meme, like how the website Tumblr people were glorifying mental illness.
I did not
Let me
know
tell
that.
you, as someone who is depressed, this is not this is not something to be glorified. It doesn't make you special. It doesn't make you any more valuable than anybody else. It's just something you have to deal with, and you do have to deal with it, and it's fine that you have to deal with it. But at the same time, don't go thinking that it's like something that makes you like a superhuman or some kind of lost, broken, precious soul, because that's not the case.
Even worse is people who pretend like they have these problems for sympathy. And it just makes people who do have these real problems situation even worse.
Yeah.
Back to the polio, whatever.
Back to polio.
Like between her and Solio, polio, even though what she did is wrong, there is the fact that she did something that she believed in, whereas Solio is like
she
very
wouldn't have
passive.
acted. She Perron had to twist her arm into doing anything.
Right. And it's just like if you had the power to save people, wouldn't you
right?
wouldn't you use it? I mean, I don't know what the cost is to her, or like how does that, tip the balance in the world or anything. So maybe this is a naive way of looking at it.
Yeah, but like even so, like you could do something. Like she was
But
doing
maybe she
nothing.
is doing something.
Well, now she's doing something.
But I mean, like something that we're not seeing. Like there's I don't know.
She didn't act like it.
Yeah, that's true. She didn't.
Yeah, she sent her avatar and it was like, "Oh, I can help you escape the city if you want, Master of the Deck." And he was like, "No, you're going to do much more than that. You're not going to just save me, an isolated person that you can now have favor with.
Right.
I'm going to make you undo what your sister did."
Right.
Roto, write this down.
Oh.
So like,
oh, go ahead.
Yeah, just one more thing. Like, it is important to be cognizant of these things. To know that sometimes life is complicated and it's not easy to act in the most direct or most satisfying way. But at the same time, it's also important to have the audacity to think that you can change things and that your contributions can make a meaningful difference. And that is how change happens.
Hmm. So Paran, there was comedy moment that I really enjoyed in this chapter where Paran was talking to I call him not to boil, but it's probably Noto
I
boil
say
or
note to
whatever.
boil.
Hmm.
I think he's
Um,
Irish.
Noto boil.
Yeah, note a boil.
I see.
He's not a boil.
Um, where he was like, what did he say? Basically, not to boil was like, oh yeah, you have made a wise decision to take, was it Hurl Chell?
Look
I
at
am
it.
butchering these names. Um, into the city, and yeah, okay, I'm sorry, I lost the momentum on that one.
That's fine.
The end of this chapter is kind of heartbreaking that he goes through all of this work, tries all of this to like save all these people, and he comes back and he's too late to save
Dujak.
Dujak.
Paran is too late to save Dujak.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Dujak has been a broken man since Memories of Ice. And now this is
Yeah.
just cementing the loss.
I was really sad
Which
when he
is
died. Or when I
unfortunate.
found out he died.
If I had read this book right after Memories of Ice, I think I would have more strong feelings about a lot of these events.
Yeah, it's been a long time since
Yeah,
we
it's been
read
a really
Memories
long
of
time.
Ice.
Like, if
That's
I were
fair.
to do a reread, I don't know, would I just skip from 3 to 6?
That's an interesting reading order, if so.
Yeah.
I guess 3, 4, 6. Just
It's
skip
it's
3, 4,
five.
doable.
6, except for you're skipping the last book of book 4. Maybe you reread the last 10 pages.
I don't know how much I would want to reread 4, but I guess it would be beneficial to reread 4 with the knowledge I have gained from the rest of the series.
Yeah. You
This
really get
chapter
a sense of why rereads are valuable for Malazan.
In this chapter we get some little puzzle pieces for Quick Ben.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a
His
creepy child.
sister. Yeah. Oh man, he was the worst kid.
I can understand why she didn't want to be around him. But he did save her.
He did save her in the end, yeah.
He is such a devious person,
Mm-hmm.
but also very smart and good at predicting things.
And this is kind of the tension for clever people, because they also want to be seen as smart. Like Quickben as a child was just showing off how clever he was in the most annoying little brother way possible.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of still does this. It's a large factor of why I think he's so secretive. So when he does reveal things, he's like, aha, can you see how clever I was to have worked all this out? And everyone's like, yes, Quickben, you're very smart. And then you have the opposite of this, who is Bottle, who doesn't want any of this.
Yeah.
Which is
But
interesting.
is apparently, I think, way more powerful than Quickben.
See, in
He
that
sees
scene,
things that Quickben doesn't.
in that scene, I think he was being possessed by the
I
aerosol,
did.
right?
Yeah.
It's true.
So I think he just has more access to. I don't know. They're quite similar.
Bottle is
Wait.
a lot more shamanistic, so he has that kind of wisdom that Quickben doesn't have. Like I don't think Quickben is a very wise person. He's very smart, though.
So, okay, this still kind of breaks my brain because to think that the Daragoth domesticated the aerosol.
Don't think about it too hard.
No, so
They didn't domesticate the aerosol. They domesticated the humans, or the human ancestors.
Maybe.
But the aerosol is like a wild entity.
Maybe.
Okay. But
Yeah.
the humans descended from the aerosol.
Yeah, the aerosol is specifically the god of the Eris people, I think, if I'm remembering that right. So she's like a leftover incarnation of their beliefs, and they didn't see time as linear, so that's why she's able to flip around so much. And then the Eris were gradually domesticated by the hounds, is how I see it.
I see. Okay.
I really like in this chapter the scene with Shadow Throne and Quick Ben. Shadow Throne finally has Quick Ben sort of by the balls.
Yeah.
all right, you're gonna accept this debt from me. And then Quick Ben's like, fine. And then Quick Ben leaves. And then Shadow Throne's like, oh, what are all these threads? Gotta get rid of
Right.
those. Just tries to screw him over. Which
But apparently there's a thread that he couldn't see or didn't sever.
yeah, Quick Ben's always like someone with 10,000 backup lens. So he's like, you know,
Poor Kalam.
yeah, having to deal
Like,
with that. Right?
and him just like freaking out about Quick Ben, like whether or not he's dead.
Okay. Back in chapter 11, Hedge and the Jag Hut, I forgot her name, we're talking.
Annis.
Thank you. The aerosol who would one day give rise to the Emas, who would one day give rise to humans. As
Right.
simple as that, Hedge asked. No, far more complicated, the Jag Hut replied, but for our purposes, it will suffice.
Yeah.
See, that's basically what it was referring to. It's just like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Evolution is complicated.
Okay. Why did Apsalar save Quakebin and Tora Halval Delat?
I think you mean, why did Cotillion?
Well, Cotillion says that he didn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah, but she took the Shadow Dance before going, and the Hounds are certain that the Cotillion did it, and Shadow Throne is certain that Cotillion did it.
But Cotillion doesn't think he did it. I think it's just Apsalar is really like she's acting like Cotillion's daughter. That's how I read it.
I don't
I
think
think-
Cotillion intentionally did it.
Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think the Shadow Dance actually has, like, pulls Cotillion into a human vessel, right?
We get an explanation of the Shadow Dance later on.
Okay.
But I think it's just the Shadow Dance is a way that has been developed to tap into shadow magic from a different angle.
I think it's Cotillion.
Okay.
Okay. And you're not saying that because you have more information than I do.
He
If
has
I
a little
do, I
bit,
don't
but not a
remember.
lot. Yeah. But like, take it from me, someone who has pretty much the same amount of information as Kieran. I don't think it was Cotillion. I think it was just Apsalar, and it's getting kind of blurry for the entities.
Yeah. Why would Shadow Throne not completely kill Dejim Girl?
Oh, that was just so that the hounds could lure the Daragoth to Polio, so that the Daragoth would kill Polio.
Okay, so the Hounds and the Daragoths have not become one at
No.
this point.
No.
Okay.
Bring
Yeah.
them together.
Got it.
Yeah,
That's
it's
clever.
wild, isn't it? But yeah, that's what the Hound was doing when it picked up the Dejim Nimbaral and started running towards the city. It was luring the Daragoth.
Or horses. I just these horses in the series are just
Yeah, we got the feeling that Steve really liked horses in Dead House Gates, and now, man, the horses are having a bad time.
He's
Maybe
killing
he
them left and
like
right.
fell out of love with his horse, or his horse was gave him attitude one day, and he was like, you know what, I'm gonna kill all the fictional horses in my universe now.
I guess. No.
He's channeling spite.
Or broken face.
Well, chapter 15 was baller. I loved it.
Yeah, it's a really good. It's a really good
It
chapter.
was pretty fun. Yeah.
And now Ganos has an army. What do you think he's gonna do with that army?
I don't
Party.
know. Do whatever Shadow Throne predicts that he's gonna do.
That's a good answer. That's a very good answer, actually. Also, we get Quick Ben. He asks Ganos, "Hey, what do you think of Devor? Is she gonna do what's best for her? Or what's best for her soldiers?" Ganos is like, "That's the same thing to her."
No difference.
Little bit of an insight into her character from someone who should know.
Yes. I do look forward to, well, maybe you'll tell me that this doesn't ever happen. Paran and Ganos and Tavor meeting again.
Oh, you'll have to read and find out there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying anything.
Mm-hmm.
That would be excellent if it did happen.
It's a-
Okie dokie.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They do get kind of close in these chapters, though.
That's what I was
Mhm.
thinking. Like, so this a lot of this book is about sisters and brothers, right? But so far, at least, Paran and Devor have not met.
Yeah, who, like, I'm just gonna say it. They're the most important siblings in the series, sibling-wise.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm looking through my notes to see if there's anything else. Although the wolf motif for Quickben was interesting. And when Quickben's sister, Torvald, was like, there was a wolf. And Paran's like, oh yeah, a hound of shadow. A wolf, she said again. The loveliest, sweetest wolf in the world. Which is such a different take that she had on Quickben from when we first met her.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about sigma males, alpha males, beta males. Quickman is just all of those wrapped into one.
And some females.
Yeah, he is the wolf pack.
You know what I realized? We didn't ask for listener questions this time.
Yeah,
I did it on purpose.
We don't want
Sure.
listener questions.
Yep. I think in this book, it's really hitting home what Erickson had said before in his interviews with us. Like, he's exploring consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not just the big things that happen, it's like little things. He'll bring it back and however why he chooses to do so, but he's probably just like, oh, this would be an interesting to explore what would happen after the fact, after this event happens, and then that's what we're reading. It's an interesting way to tell a story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because a lot of stories, they just kind of like events lead into each other, like in sort of a linear way. Like book A sets up the events for book B, and then that sets up the events for book C. But in Malazan, like the events of book A can and will impact the events in book B or C directly, and like this is happening like all the time. Like
not just directly. There's a lot of indirect influence.
Yeah, and a lot of indirect ones. Like as we've noticed, 2 characters from book 2 that haven't shown up since then show up, and the event, the actions that Fiddler took are having direct impact on the plot, from all the way back then.
I'm a very impatient person, so this more like meandering way of telling a story is definitely at times trying my patience, which listeners probably have gathered already.
It takes a certain amount of faith.
Yes. And if it weren't for, like, you, the veterans, basically confirming or like, I can't think of the word.
Being coy?
No, it's like reassuring me, I guess that's the word.
Like this will have payoff.
Reassuring me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have dropped off at least for a while. Maybe I would have come back, maybe I wouldn't, but I would not have gone book to book to book.
Yeah. And that is something that people get frustrated about in the series. It's probably one of the bigger frustrations of sometimes things are set up and they don't actually have payoffs. Right. Or like the payoff is like way down the line. Like in many ways, The God Is Not Willing is a direct sequel to House of Chains.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Does that mean I can read it now?
No.
Okay.
No. They're like major spoilers.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, like things are set up in House of Chains that only get paid off in The God Is Not Willing. So at the conclusion of the story, I'm just going to say it. Not all the plot lines are tied up very neatly. So a first-time reader can get disappointed at these things, and I do think that it does add something to the experience if you're the type of person who likes to know, just to have people to kind of nudge you in the right directions and to set you up to know that oh yeah, this is this is a false trail, or this will have something.
Just don't think about this too much. Just
Yeah,
don't spend
don't
your
think it
mental
like
capacity.
like it's
on this.
Don't think about
technically a
the rats.
spoiler, but yeah, exactly. It's technically a spoiler, but at the same time, like if you're not investing in the right places, it's very useful to know that
Yeah.
before you've like gone 10 books deep and
Yeah.
we're like really invested in this rat theory that you had.
Yeah.
There was one story thread that did not get tied up in the Crippled God. But I do think that Steve is picking it up in the other trilogy.
Yeah.
The next one.
Well, cuckoo. I mean, I am honestly, when I look at this giant tome of a book and I see how much progress I've made through it, I'm like, okay, cool. This is impressive. Do I remember how what I read? I guess it's recorded, so I can go
Yeah.
back and listen.
And that's what you have us for, right? We can remind you of these things when it's necessary. So just like if that feels impressive, like stack up all the books. We are more than halfway through the series.
My freaking goodness.
By page count and word, I think this is around halfway. Actually,
It's around halfway.
it's somewhere.
Yeah, because the
Bonehunters.
later ones are.
Yeah, the later ones.
I think this one is actually probably the longest. No?
Yeah, I think it's the second longest.
Oh, what's the longest?
Maybe third.
Is Reaper's Gale longer?
No.
I will tell you this. I am not looking forward to Reaper's Gale.
Why is
I
that?
love Reaper's Gale.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but is it one of the least favorites
No.
by fans? No?
No, it's just
Okay.
that in the Discord there are a couple people who don't like it.
Oh, there are lots of people who like any book in this series. Like, there's a lot of variance in people's favorites and leads favorites. And
Yeah.
Can I
like
skip
books
Reaper's
with
Gale?
Brittany, like it was her favorite book, I think. And I think there was another big YouTuber who absolutely adored Reaper's Gale.
Okay.
But like
Maybe I'm
Mike hated it.
attributing
Or I shouldn't say he hated it. He didn't like it.
maybe I'm attributing wrong assumption to the book. Okay. Never mind.
I don't know if you'll like it or not. I think you'll like the end, though. You might struggle with the first half.
This is the shortest of the final 5 books.
This is? Oh my god, really?
Reaper's Gale is 30,000 pages longer. Toll the Hounds is 40,000 pages longer.
No, not 40,000.
40,000?
You're talking about words.
Or
You're talking about
40,000.
words.
40,000.
Imagine if it was
Words.
40,000 pages longer.
40,000
That would be the
I mean, the
words.
biggest
pages are
book ever
this
made.
big and this big. They're tiny.
Oh yeah, You flip
One
through
word
them.
on each page.
30 and 40,000 words longer.
Interesting.
Well, it was nice knowing you guys. And after this book,
It's a drop in the series.
Shall we say goodbye?
let's say
Yes.
goodbye.
That concludes this episode. If you want to join the read along and or contribute listener questions, check us out on the Legendarium's Discord. You can find the link at thelegendarium.com. Also follow us on Twitter at Green Team Pod for updates and fun times. Check out the Legendarium podcast for Wheel of Time, Cosmere, Lord of the Rings content, and so much more. Thank you to our panelists, Ashman, Yes, and his boy, Befuddled Panda. I'm Huron Fan. Until next time.
See you later, Space Cowboy.
There was no Yesna, but he was here in
I'm still
spirit.
thinking him.
Yes. Thank you for thinking of showing up.
Oh.